Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This time we're taking a look at the Bhagavad Gita, and specifically Chapter 5, often called the Yoga of Action and Renunciation.
Right.
And we found a really interesting podcast episode that kind of breaks it all down.
Yeah.
You know what's so wild about it? It basically says that you can find inner peace without having to, give up all your possessions and go live in a cave as a hermit.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it definitely challenges our typical assumptions about renunciation.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, this chapter really centers around a conversation between the warrior Arjuna and the divine Krishna.
Okay.
And Arjuna is facing this just massive dilemma.
Yeah.
Should he withdraw from the world to find peace? Or should he jump right into the thick of things?
So he's got this big choice to make.
Huge choice.
And Krishna, being, the wise guide that he is, doesn't tell him to go live in a cave.
Yeah.
He drops this concept of karma vairagya detachment in action. So I'm picturing a brain surgeon. They have to be totally focused.
Yes.
But they also can't get emotionally wrecked by every single surgery they do.
Right.
Is that kind of what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Okay.
It's not about avoiding action completely.
Okay.
But it's about changing our relationship to action.
Gotcha.
The source material actually used a potter as an example.
Oh.
Like a potter who is completely absorbed in shaping the clay.
Okay.
And they're not worried about if it's going to be perfect or if it's going to sell.
Yeah.
They're just in the moment, creating.
So it's like being in the world, but not of the world.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so now Krishna, he also says this thing that is so mind-bending.
It is.
He says, the wise see action in inaction and inaction in action. How can there be action in doing nothing?
Yeah.
That's hurting my brain a little bit.
Well, it is a paradox.
Okay.
But I think it really gets to the heart of what true renunciation actually means.
Right.
Think about it. You could have someone who's like a CEO, super busy.
Yeah.
But they're internally detached from the outcome of every decision.
Okay.
On the flip side, you can have somebody who seems inactive, but their mind is churning.
Oh.
They're totally attached to all these desires and anxieties.
Oh, so it's not about what you're doing on the outside. It's more about...
It's an internal state.
Yeah, your internal. So it's you can be working really hard, but not be attached to
to a specific outcome.
To a specific outcome.
Right.
Doesn't that kind of take a lot of pressure off?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean not having goals.
Right.
But it frees you from that constant worry and anxiety about results.
Okay.
So you can really just focus on doing your best. And then whatever happens, happens.
It's a shift in perspective.
It is.
So it's less about what's in it for me. And more about just doing the best you can in this moment.
Exactly.
Regardless of the result.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's powerful.
Now, this podcast episode also mentioned something else that really stuck with me. This idea of the self as a peaceful observer.
Oh, yeah.
That Krishna talks about.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
So Krishna is actually pointing to something much deeper than just our roles and actions in the world.
Okay.
He's saying there's a part of us, our true self, that's this witness to everything that's going on.
So it's
our thoughts, our feelings, the whole show.
Okay.
And this self is unchanging. It's peaceful. It's not affected by all the ups and downs of life.
So there's this constant quiet part of us that's just watching.
Watching unfold.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's a pretty profound concept.
It's a pretty big one.
So does this have anything to do with modern mindfulness practices where you're supposed to just observe your thoughts without judging them?
Yes.
Is there a connection there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mindfulness is very much in line with this idea.
Okay.
Imagine your thoughts and emotions are like clouds passing through the sky. The peaceful observer is a sky itself.
Oh.
Vast, unchanging.
Wow.
Just noticing the clouds come and go without getting caught up in them.
So instead of getting all tangled up in my worries and anxieties, I can try to tap into this peaceful observer part of myself.
Exactly.
Okay, so that seems incredibly useful for dealing with
It is. Well, everything.
Absolutely. So far we've got action without attachment to the outcome.
Right.
And this idea of the self as this peaceful observer. I feel like that's already a lot to unpack.
It is.
So what else does this chapter cover?
Well, you know how we were talking about that potter completely absorbed in their craft?
Yeah.
The podcast episode actually highlighted that as like a really great example of how to approach any task.
Okay.
And it kind of got me thinking, you know how we often get so hung up on the what ifs and the, what will people think?
Right.
That we lose sight of the actual doing.
That's so true.
Right.
I know I do that all the time.
Me too.
So how do we shift gears?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah. How do we go from like stressing about the results to just focusing on like
on the task at hand?
The task at hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like cultivating that peaceful observer mindset is a good place to start.
Okay.
The more we can separate ourselves from those thoughts and emotions, the less power they have over us.
So it's like we're creating this space between the US that's doing the worrying
and the WIS that's like actually capable of doing things.
Exactly. It's like watching a movie. You can get completely swept up in the drama. Or you can sit back and just observe the story unfolding. It's still entertaining. But you're not letting it dictate your emotions.
I love that analogy. It makes it so much easier to understand.
Yeah.
So instead of getting all worked up about like a presentation at work, I can try to see it as just another event that's happening, and I'm just there.
You're just there to do your best.
To do my best.
Right. And think about all the energy that frees up. When you're not constantly worrying about the outcomes. You can channel that energy into being more present, more creative, more effective in whatever you're doing.
Okay, so practicing that observer detachment helps us at work. But what about our personal lives?
That's a good question.
Can this concept of karma vairagya really apply to like our relationships too?
It absolutely can.
Really?
Yeah. Think about all the times we get attached to specific outcomes in our relationships, like wanting a partner to behave a certain way or expecting a friend to react in a particular way. Those expectations can really lead to a lot of like unnecessary disappointment and even resentment.
So instead of trying to control how people react to us, we should just focus on being present and accepting of whatever happens. Doesn't that make things kind of...
Well, it's not about being passive, but it's about shifting our focus from trying to change others to really understanding ourselves better.
Gotcha.
When we detach from that need to control outcomes, we create space for genuine connection and compassion.
So it's less about like fixing people and more about just understanding and accepting them for who they are.
For who they are.
I can see how that would lead to
much healthier
relationships.
Absolutely.
And so practicing detachment in relationships doesn't mean we stop caring.
No.
Right?
It's about loving people without needing them to fulfill our expectations or complete us in some way.
That's a really important distinction because I think a lot of people might hear detachment and think it means like becoming emotionally distant or cold. But that's not what we're talking about.
Not at all. It's about recognizing that everyone's on their own journey. And our happiness doesn't have to depend on their choices or actions.
That's a really beautiful way to put it.
Thanks.
So practicing detachment in our relationships means letting go of the need to control, accepting people for who they are, and recognizing that our happiness ultimately comes from within.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together, you know? This whole concept of karma vairagya is a lot more nuanced than I initially thought. It's not just about like
becoming a hermit.
And
renouncing the world.
It's about
finding that inner balance between action and detachment. Engagement and acceptance.
Yeah, this has been so insightful.
It has been fun.
I feel like I'm starting to actually grasp how these ancient teachings can be applied to like modern life.
I agree.
In a meaningful way.
They're powerful teachings.
So we've been talking about action without being attached to the outcome.
Right.
And the idea of the self as this peaceful observer. But I think a lot of people might be wondering, how do we actually put this into practice?
Right.
Like, it all sounds amazing in theory.
Yeah.
But how do we, like, apply this detachment stuff?
In our daily lives.
Yeah, in our everyday routines.
That's the big question.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to understand the concepts.
Yeah.
But it's another to actually, like, live them out.
Totally.
So let's take work, for example.
Okay.
Most of us spend a good chunk of our lives working.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the
please.
stress of it all.
Oh, tell me about it.
Deadlines, performance reviews, competition.
Yeah.
It's like a constant
pressure cooker.
Yeah. So how do we apply detachment to that kind of environment?
That's the question.
Well, remember what we were saying about shifting our focus from the outcomes to the process.
Right.
That's really key here.
Okay.
So instead of stressing about that promotion or bonus, what if we just focused on doing the best job we could right now in this moment?
So it's about finding satisfaction in the work itself.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not just in what we're getting out of it.
Not just the reward at the end.
Right. It's like that potter who's totally absorbed in shaping the clay.
Okay.
They're not focused on what the pot's going to look like or if anyone's going to buy it.
Right.
They're just enjoying the process of creation.
So finding that flow state.
Yes.
Yeah, where you're just
being fully present.
Engaged.
And engaged in what you're doing.
And when you're truly present in that way, the anxieties about the future tend to just fade away.
I could see how that would make work a lot less stressful.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it could even be enjoyable.
Yeah, maybe even enjoyable.
Yeah.
But what about those times when, like, things don't go our way? Like, what if we put in all this effort, but we still don't get that promotion we were hoping for?
Doesn't that feel discouraging?
Of course it's natural to feel disappointed.
Yeah.
But remember that peaceful observer within us.
Yeah.
That part of us that can kind of witness our thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
Without getting swept away by them.
That's where the detachment comes in.
Exactly.
Okay.
So instead of letting those feelings of disappointment or frustration just consume us, we could acknowledge them.
Okay.
Observe them.
Okay.
And just let them pass.
So it's not about denying.
No, it's not about denying them.
Okay.
But it's about choosing how we respond.
Choosing how we respond.
Oh.
Okay, so even in those, like, tough moments, we can still find that sense of peace and equanimity within ourselves.
That's powerful stuff.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
And so this isn't limited to just work either.
No, it applies to everything.
Okay.
Think about our relationships.
Yeah.
How often do we get caught up in trying to control how other people feel or behave?
All the time.
Right.
Especially in, like, romantic relationships.
Yes.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of wanting your partner to be a certain way or to do certain things.
Right. And then
when they don't
meet those expectations, we end up feeling hurt, resentful, or even angry.
Yeah.
But what if we approach those relationships with a sense of detachment?
Okay.
Not detachment in the sense of not caring, but detachment in the sense of accepting people for who they are, flaws and all.
So instead of trying to, like, mold them into our ideal version of them.
Right. We just love and appreciate them for who they are right here, right now.
Yeah, just as they are.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's not always easy.
Right.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
But when we can let go of that need to control, we open ourselves up to a much deeper, more authentic connection.
It's like we're giving them the space to be themselves.
Yeah.
And in turn, we're giving ourselves the space to be
free
from
those expectations and attachments.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
And so that applies to, like, all of our relationships, right?
Yes.
Not just romantic ones.
All of them.
Family, friends, even with ourselves?
Yes, even the relationship we have with ourselves.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the more we can cultivate that inner sense of peace and acceptance,
the
more it radiates outward into all areas of our lives.
This has been such a mind-blowing conversation.
It's been fun.
I feel like I've learned so much about this whole concept of karma viraja and how it can actually be applied to create a more fulfilling and peaceful life.
It's powerful stuff.
It is powerful.
It is. And it's been really amazing to see how these ideas, they aren't just some ancient philosophy.
Totally.
Like, they can actually make a real difference in our lives today.
For sure. But I think a lot of people might be wondering, how do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah.
Like, all sounds great in theory, but how do we apply this detachment stuff to like our everyday routines?
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, it's one thing to understand these concepts, but it's another to actually like live them out.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's take work as an example. Most of us spend a good chunk of our lives, you know, working.
At work.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the stress of it all.
Tell me about it.
Deadlines, performance reviews, competition. It can feel like a constant.
Pressure cooker.
Pressure cooker.
Yeah.
So how do we apply this detachment
to that
kind of environment?
Well, you know how we were talking about shifting our focus from the outcome to the process.
Right.
That's really key here.
Okay.
So instead of like stressing about that promotion or that bonus, what if we just focused on doing the best job we could in this moment?
Okay. So it's about like finding satisfaction in the work itself.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Not just in like what we're getting.
Not like the reward at the end.
Right. Right. You know, that potter completely absorbed in shaping the clay.
Yeah.
Not focus on what the pot's going to look like or if anyone's going to buy it.
Right.
Just enjoying the process of creation.
Finding that flow state.
Exactly. Being fully present.
Engaged.
And engaged in what you're doing.
Yeah. And when you're truly present like that, the anxieties about the future, they just kind of fade away.
Yeah. I could definitely see how that would make work a lot less stressful.
Right.
Yeah.
It might even be enjoyable.
Yeah. Maybe even enjoyable.
Yeah.
But what about those times when, you know, things don't go our way? Like, what if we put in all this effort?
But we still don't get that promotion we were hoping for.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that still feel discouraging?
Of course, it's natural to feel disappointed.
Okay.
But, you know, remember that peaceful observer within us?
Right.
That part of us that can kind of like witness our thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them.
That's where the detachment comes in.
Exactly.
Okay.
So instead of letting those feelings of disappointment or frustration consume us, we can just acknowledge them.
Okay.
Observe them.
Okay.
And just let them pass.
So it's not about denying our emotions.
No, it's not about denying our emotions.
Okay.
But it's about choosing how we respond.
Choosing how we respond.
To them.
Okay, so even in those tough moments, we can still find that sense of peace and equanimity.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And so this isn't limited to just work either.
No, this applies to like everything.
Okay.
Think about our relationships. How often do we get caught up
in
trying to control how other people feel or behave?
All the time.
Right.
Especially in like romantic relationships.
Yes.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of wanting your partner to be a certain way or to do certain things.
And when they don't.
And when they don't meet those expectations. We end up feeling hurt, resentful, or even angry. Yeah.
But what if we approach those relationships with a sense of detachment?
Okay.
Not detachment in the sense of not caring.
Right.
But detachment in the sense of like accepting people for who they are.
Okay.
Flaws and all.
So instead of trying to like mold them into our ideal version of them.
Into our ideal version.
Yeah.
We just love and appreciate them for who they are.
Right here, right now.
Exactly.
Just as they are.
Yeah. And it's not always easy.
Yeah.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
But when we can let go of that need to control, we really open ourselves up to a much deeper, more authentic connection.
It's like we're giving them space to be themselves.
Yes.
And then in turn, giving ourselves the space to be
free
from those expectations and attachments.
From those expectations and attachments. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And so that applies to like all our relationships, right?
It does.
And not just romantic.
It applies to all of them.
Family,
friends. Even the relationship we have with ourselves.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So the more we can cultivate that inner sense of peace and acceptance, the more it radiates outward into all areas of our lives.
This has been such a mind-blowing
it's been fun
conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about this whole concept of karma vairagya and how it can actually be applied
That's powerful
to create a more fulfilling and peaceful life.
It is powerful.
Yeah.
It is powerful stuff.
It really is. And it's amazing how these ancient teachings from the Bhagavad Gita are like still so relevant.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they offer like a timeless roadmap for living a more peaceful,
yeah.
purposeful, and fulfilling life.
Yeah. This has been such a mind-blowing conversation.
And it has.
I feel like I've learned so much about this whole concept of karma vairagya and how it can be applied to like create a more fulfilling and peaceful life.
It's a practice, though.
Yeah.
It's not like a perfect state we achieve overnight.
Of course not.
You know, there will be times when we get caught up in our emotions, when we slip back into those old patterns of attachment and control.
You know, I think it's easy to feel discouraged when you realize you're not perfectly embodying these principles all the time.
It's a journey, not a destiny.
Right.
The key is to be kind and patient with ourselves.
Okay.
You know, every time we notice ourselves choosing awareness over reactivity, presence over worry, we're strengthening that muscle of detachment.
We're working it out.
Exactly.
So we just got to keep practicing.
Keep practicing, keep returning to that peaceful observer within us.
To that peaceful sky.
Yes.
Yeah. This whole conversation is making me rethink my entire approach to life.
I'm glad.
It's like a light bulb has gone off.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you know what I'm realizing?
What's that?
You don't have to become a hermit to find peace.
No, you don't.
You can find it right here.
Right here.
In the middle of all the action, the chaos,
and the chaos.
The beauty of life.
It's all right here.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, may you find that sweet spot
yes.
between action and renunciation.